Who doesn't love a good dividend coming into your account? After all, that's cash being deposited that you didn't have to get up and go to work for. It's what some people would refer to as passive income. In fact, some would even call it free money.
And I'm being sarcastic.
Now, even though it's not exactly free money, we do still like receiving those stacks of cash and counting up those dividend checks we receive every month. So today I'm going to show you every dividend I received in the months of February and March. February is actually one of the slowest dividend months for me. The first dividend I received in February was Verizon Communications with a whopping $66.50. Now, fun fact, since I receive this quarterly, which is every 3 months, if I had Mint Mobile for $15 a month, my Verizon dividend would actually pay for a Mint Mobile cell plan. Funny enough. Next, we received $73.18 from British American Tobacco. This tobacco stock is one of the highest yielders in my portfolio, and frankly, it doesn't disappoint. And its valuation is super low, and frankly, I think it's probably one of the more undervalued stocks that I have right now. They produce a lot of cash flow and trade at a pretty low multiple. Actually, if management were to do buybacks right now, I think it would just make the stock even more attractive for me. Next up, we received $33 from Horizon Technology Finance. This is a business development company, and they pay monthly. This BDC routinely pays a low double-digit yield, typically monthly, but they do occasionally work in a special dividend, and they invest or fund a lot of tech startups that are sort of medium-sized. PSEC, of course, also paid me $6. That's another monthly payer. This is also another BDC. Not one of my favorites, actually, and I am considering putting it on the chopping block in the near future. And that really does it for February. Only 4 dividends paid for a total of $178.68. Next up, I'll bring you the first 3 dividends I received in March. They would be Intel, paying out $50. Now, since the dividend cut, the yield is quite low on this, or as Pat Gelsinger would say, a healthy, competitive dividend. I'm not really in Intel for the yield, though, and I do think it's a sleeping giant in the chip space, so happy to keep holding that and receiving the baby dividends along the way. Next up, we get another $50 from Walgreens Boots Alliance. They also had a dividend cut recently, and this is one where I think there's a good chance that I mispriced their value when I first got in there. I'm almost certainly undervalued today, but I paid a higher price than what they're at today. This is why I'm not rushing to just immediately eject the stock from the portfolio, because I think some type of a price recovery is likely to happen, but it's requiring some patience. And frankly, when you feel like you got one wrong, it does kind of suck to have to stare it in the face every day, but I'm also selling covered calls on the position to generate some extra cash to sort of offset the loss and bring in some premium. And I'm selling them slightly out of the money, so I'll capture some of the share price recovery if one does occur before getting rid of the stock. And coincidentally, it's actually a pretty similar story on KeyCorp. This is the parent company of KeyBank. The share price is starting to recover a bit from recent lows, and I'm selling covered calls on this, collecting the dividend, and more or less just thinking I want to put that one behind me. It's kind of a half-baked idea, and I think I don't really want to be in regional banks going forward. Just a sense that I have that they're not probably worth the risk. This is after seeing how quickly, for example, Silicon Valley went down, and how much exposure you really have when it comes to some of these regional banks. The only banks that I might consider wanting to be in long term are probably more of the too big to fail variety, simply because, well, they're too big to fail. If they start to fail, it becomes a problem, and the Federal Reserve will probably backstop them. But these regional banks, it seems like they're willing to let them fold like cheap lawn furniture. Now, for the second half of March, I do have two repeats, which these are my monthly dividends, Horizon and PSEC, so I won't go too much into those. PX is a new position of mine, P10 Class Inc. And this position is relatively small compared to the size of my portfolio. It's less than 1%. P10 engages in private equity, venture capital, private credit, and impact investing. So, a good friend of mine described it as sort of like a private equity fund, but publicly traded. So, it's pretty interesting. And these are the types of investments that a lot of regular people don't really get access to, since we're not accredited investors. And to invest in venture capital, generally speaking, you have to be kind of in the inner circle, so to speak. So I'm really interested to see what happens with this stock. And last but not least, we received $54.36 from Vale. This is the premier iron ore producer, the Brazilian mining giant. They produce a lot of iron ore and a lot of nickel, and they pay semi-annually, so twice a year, leaving us a total of $217.11 for the month of March. Now, not every position in my portfolio pays a dividend, but what I like about the ones that do is that it keeps my cash balance a little bit more healthy and robust, even if I'm not either making deposits or writing options. At the moment, that's really the only way, other than dividends, for me to add cash to the portfolio. I would have to either write and sell options, or I would have to sell stock or make a deposit. Dividends just keep the cash balance at least somewhat replenished without me having to really do anything, which lets me just focus on finding the next opportunity and funneling the money into whichever opportunity I think is best in the given moment. If you enjoy investing content and want to see more, please consider subscribing to the channel, liking it for the algorithm, hitting the notification bell, all that good jazz. You can catch me every Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern on the Cashflow Kings live channel, which is linked in the description below. I also have a Discord where we discuss value investing. Link is in the description there as well. Consider becoming a member if you want to support the channel in a deeper way. Otherwise, take it easy. Have a happy Easter, everybody.